Good morning, Hoosiers, and welcome back to the Bloomington Breakfast Club. I'm Julianna Mary.
And I'm Michael Skiles, and today we're at the Switchyard Brewing Company interviewing the founder and trying a beer tasting.
Let's check that out. We are here with Curtis Cummings, the founder and president of the Switchyard Brewing Company. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Hey, it's going to be fun.
We are so excited to be here. And so first, I guess, tell us a little bit about how the Switchyard Brewing Company came to be.
Yeah, so Switchyard kind of was the culmination of just years of sitting around with buddies drinking beer. I mean, you know, I think everyone has that concept of, you know, I'm sure you've been there and you're like sitting around a bar and you're like, man, it'd be really awesome to own a bar.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Until you actually own a bar, and then and then you're like having to work the 16-hour shifts and clean up the messes that people make. And Switchyard Brewing Company came. Myself and my business partner Jeff, we both used to work as medics here in Bloomington. We both worked with IU Health on the ambulance service, and we both worked night shift, and we became really good friends, and we kind of fell in love with homebrewing. One of my really good buddies that we used to work with moved to St. Louis, and I moved him down there after he graduated from IU, and he's like, hey, you want to brew some beer? I mean, we have all these boxes we still have to unbox, but why don't we just drove 4 hours, let's just brew a beer. And I go, we can do that? Like, what? And he pulled out his homebrew kit, and literally we just made our first beer right there on a stovetop. And I fell in love with the science, the chemistry, with the recipe development, and of course the tasting. Mm-hmm. So I brought that back to Bloomington, and Jeff and I bought a homebrew kit together, and we just started brewing. We would brew all kinds of different recipes, and it was kind of our stress reliever from working on the ambulance. Mm-hmm. You know, working 12-hour night shifts. We typically worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, the busiest nights in town. And when we'd get off work, sometimes you're just so pumped when you get off work at 7 or 8 a.m. that you just want to chill and have a beer. So we would go into my garage, fire up the kettle, and we would brew beer in my garage. And there came a point in time when we were like, people started asking for beers like Lavender Blonde. You know, they'd be saying, hey, can you brew more of that? Can you sell that to me? And legally, the government doesn't like you to sell hooch. So you have to go through all these permitting and you have to actually become a real brewery. But that's really difficult, right? Because we didn't come from family money. I like to tell people there's no rich uncle of Switchyard. Mm-hmm. We just had to grind and pitch to investors and just really define our craft, both in quality and flavor, and that's how Switchyard came to be. I mean, it took 8 years from the day that we first decided let's open a brewery to Memorial Day of 2018. It took 8 years. And so that's like when I talk to aspiring entrepreneurs, when I talk to like people that are wanting to get in this industry or just any goal that you're trying to achieve in life, you have to think to yourself like 8 years it's a really long time. Like some people went to medical school that I graduated high school with, right? It's the same amount of time. I chose to open a brewery.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a great story of like true entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Switchyard, it's an interesting name. How'd you come up with it?
So the name Switchyard, I like to tell people that all of the good brewery names were already taken. Because by the time that we were ready to open, you have to think, the craft beer boom really occurred in 2010, 2014, in that span is when craft beer just took off in America. We got to the point where finally there were more breweries in America before Prohibition started. So think about that, right? Prohibition hit and it killed off all the breweries across the entire United States. And then all of a sudden it took all the way to 2014 before we got to that same par level that we had in the U.S. before Prohibition. So craft beer really exploded, which of course took all the good brewery names. So every time I would like look up a brewery name that I thought of, I'd be like, ooh, Rooftop Brewing Company, Google it, taken. Ah, well, okay. How about Night Shift Brewing? Ah, taken. You know, and then finally, we were, just by happenstance, we were like, well, there's gotta be some sort of tie to the community. Like, we don't want it to be really super regionally tied. Like, we don't want, you know, like Bloomington Brewing Company is already taken. You know, if you think of like New Belgium Brewing Company, that doesn't tell you that it's in Fort Collins. You know, it's a kind of a ambiguous name, but it has true deep meaning to those coworkers at New Belgium. For us, we went to the Monroe County History Center and looked at old maps of the city of Bloomington. And as we were looking at these old maps, one thing kept on standing out, and that was the old Switchyard. And the Switchyard was imperative to the growth of this community because it brought students into Bloomington via the railroad, and it took limestone out. So it is literally what grew the Bloomington community was this railroad. And we're like, okay, let's do a little more research about this concept. Google Switchyard Brewing Company, not taken. I immediately called the trademark attorney and said, let's get the paperwork rolling. And we did, found out that it wasn't contested, and we started doing some more research, found some really amazing photographs from a photographer named Jim Mayer. These photographs were just beautiful. They captured a period of time of this hard-working blue-collar American, and it kind of felt similar to what we were doing. You know, we were in here doing demolition to this building, and you know, working hard every day just to get this place open. So that's where the name came from.
I love that. And you, as you mentioned, craft brewing is huge right now. What sets Switchyard apart? What is your guys' secret to making such great beer?
I mean, I don't think there's really there's no special sauce to what we're doing, right? I mean, most of the ingredients in beer is water. So first of all, you gotta start with really great water. Bloomington's actually situated where our water is naturally really soft. The limestone bedrock provides a really great kind of substrate for the water. And the only thing that we do to our water here at Switchyard is just run it through a carbon filter. You know, very similar, it's a large version of what you would have at home, like a Brita water filter or something, just because we want to get rid of the chlorine that they put in the water to disinfect, right? Because no one wants your beer to taste like pool water. Right. So we're really lucky to have really great water here in Bloomington. And I think what just kind of separates us apart in our beer making technique is just our pursuit of, you know, just really high quality beer. We invested in a lab. You know, we take cell counts for the yeast, and when we do our recipe development, we brew literally just what we think would taste really great. We're not chasing after trends. We're just producing really solid beer. You know, beer that people want to drink.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Yeah.
You know, and not just like one specific type of beer. Like, we're not doing all IPAs, right? Like what we're going to taste today. I mean, you've got 2 blonde ales, an IPA, a fruited wheat beer, and a seasonal beer. Like, there's something for everyone.
Right. So what are your most popular beers here at Switchyard Brewing Company?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that, you know, we just started canning our beer kind of in response to COVID. At one point in time, we were just selling our beer 100% over the bar. And we're an all ages facility. You know, we recently added the King Dough Slice Shop. So we offer 20-inch New York style pizzas, and you know, on Tuesdays we have a heck of a deal. It's 2 slices and a pint for $8.
Oh,
no
wow.
way.
Yeah,
I'll be here on Tuesday.
it's a good place to start the night. But you know, we started canning our beer, and we started canning some of the most popular ones. So we knew people would want to enjoy, you know, for carry out or delivery. Because we're one of the few places that can actually deliver alcohol in Bloomington. So if you're sitting at home, you just don't feel like leaving your house, you're over 21, go to our website, click on delivery, and we'll actually deliver you beer and pizza, at that matter. So the most popular ones, I would say, like, these are going to be our flagship beers that we have year-round, and that's our Lavender Blonde, which actually is on your flight board from left to right. Lavender Blonde was the very first beer that we ever brewed in our garage that we knew right away would be a top seller. Like, people were asking us at festivals when we were going to bring Lavender Blonde and if we were ever going to sell that one day. I had no idea that lavender, like the story of Lavender Blonde goes, I was at the Madison, Wisconsin farmers market with my wife and our kiddo, and we were just browsing around. They have an amazing farmers market, and we just started looking around, and I saw some fresh lavender, and I said, man, that would be really good in a beer, I bet. So I brewed with it, and it was terrible. It was terrible because I didn't realize there's different grades of lavender. Some that are culinary purpose and some that are aromatic purpose. When you think about lavender, a lot of people think about grandma's soap in her bathroom, and we want to get away from that. We want to pull out really citrusy and fruity notes from the lavender flower. So that's that beer. That's the first one that we brewed in our garage. That's an original Switchyard beer. Orange Blossom Blonde's the next one. It's made from orange blossom honey that we source locally. The West Coast IPA is a just really good OG West Coast style, 7% alcohol. It's a good, like, I drink this every game day. That's my game day go-to. Blackberry Wheat is our #1 seasonal beer. It's brewed with over 200 pounds of Oregon Marion berries, which is a specific type of blackberry. Produces that really beautiful color and super tart flavor. It's so popular. And then the last one, you know, we chase a lot of seasonals. We love brewing seasonal beers. It lets Mitch, our head brewer, explore and have fun. This is our Oktoberfest, which is a traditional Marzen lager. So, yeah,
wow.
These are some of the most popular right now.
Yes.
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
Can
jump
you lead us
in.
through the trying process? How should
Yes,
we try them?
absolutely. So when we taste beer, what I recommend, you know, there's 5 S's, and the first S is C. So we're going to make note of the color of the beer. You know, you use your full sensory to experience the beer. So when we take a look at it, we're going to just hold it up and see, is it cloudy? You know, cloudy could identify that there's yeast still in suspension, which is fine. You know, think about a Hefeweizen. You know, cloudy is not necessarily a bad thing. We do not filter any of our beers here at Switchyard. We believe that your liver does a good enough job at that.
Fair enough.
So the first thing to do is see. Next thing to do is swirl, but it's going to be a little difficult to swirl in these little tiny glasses, so we're going to skip that step.
Okay.
But what swirling does is, you see a lot of people swirling their wine, right? You'll see me if I'm in the tap room, constantly I'll be swirling my beer. People are like, what is he doing? Swirling actually aerates the beer. You know, a lot of people will pour beer all the way up to the very top, but you really want 2 inches or 2 fingers of foam. Because that foam is where the aromatics are, and 65% of what we taste is what we smell. So when we swirl it, we're releasing those aromatics through the foam, and we're going to, next S, sniff, right? So we'll take our mask down and do a little sniff. And so you get that really beautiful bouquet of lavender.
Oh yeah, you
and
can really smell
kind
the
of like
lavender.
some really top citrus notes, like lemon zest. And so
Very good.
after
For sure.
see, swirl, sniff, sip is our next one. So we're gonna take a sip.
Wow.
And when I sip, I'll typically tell people, keep the beer on your palate for a couple seconds, swish it around. That way it can come in contact with all the different taste buds, you know. And then the last S is savor. So that's how the beer finishes. That's what you're probably experiencing right now. So whether it finishes, it lingers, if it's clean, if it's, you know, if you can taste the alcohol. Lavender Blonde's only 5% alcohol beer, so you're not going to get that burning sensation that you would. But this 5S technique crosses the boundary between bourbon, beer, wine, you name it. You can analyze and just kind of really digest a beer. And this really screws you up, because now every single time that you're out with your friends and like, if you're not drinking like, you know, a 30 rack, you're probably going to be like, you'll notice yourself doing this.
Yeah.
Now
you gotta appreciate it all now.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, now I have a whole new perspective. So should we try the Orange Blossom Blonde?
So let's jump
next?
into Orange Blossom. So we source the honey, and just feel free to just go for it.
Gonna go through all the steps.
Okay.
So we source the Orange Blossom honey in this from Hunter's Honey Farm in Martinsville, just north of Bloomington. And I had one customer one day. See that really distinct honey taste?
Wow, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really comes
It's
through.
super light,
good.
not super sweet. It's a little dry. A customer came in and he said, "How in the world are you brewing with local Orange Blossom honey? That's not possible." And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, Orange Blossom honey's only in Florida. And I said, well, you know, we get it from Hunter's Honey Farm here in Martinsville. That's what they tell us. I mean, and they said, well, let me tell you what, I'm going to find out for you. So when I drove up to Hunter's Honey Farm, I asked the 14-year-old girl that was working the desk. It's a family operation. I said, hey, weird question. How is this Orange Blossom honey when Orange Blossom honey comes from Florida? And she goes, good question. We actually load up the bees on a truck. My dad drives them down to Florida during the winter, and they pollinate during the winter, and then he brings them back.
Oh my
No
God. Such a unique, so much craft truly does go into every single ingredient that you're putting in.
And I love those local, collaborations and working with local, other local businesses, because, I mean, you don't get that. You know, if we were just buy Orange Blossom honey from Amazon or something, you're not going to get that local connection or, the family lineage of this 14-year-old girl who knows more about honeybees than I could ever know in my entire life.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
So West Coast IPA, here we go.
Okay.
Like I said, this is my go-to. This is, a little bit darker. I mean, we get the color of beer from the different types of roasted malt that we use. Mm-hmm. This one's gonna be a little bit noticeably hoppier. You're gonna get pine and grapefruit and citrus.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, definitely
That's
hoppier.
really
Yeah.
good.
Love
Yeah.
that beer so
That one's
much.
great. That's the 7% you said?
West Coast is the 7%.
That's
All right,
your
I'm
game day favorite.
sensing that.
That's my game day
Okay,
favorite.
there you go.
Every game day, that's the beer that I go
There
to.
you
You
go.
will
Wow.
find that in my hand. We are canning that, and actually here in November, we are releasing the big brother to West Coast, Double West Coast, which is a 9% Imperial IPA. That's coming out this
wow.
November.
Wow.
It's going to be fun. So much fun.
Bet.
All right, so blackberry wheat. Everyone eagerly anticipates when it comes every March to celebrate the arrival of spring. Blackberry wheat unfortunately leaves us usually mid-October, so this is about
no.
gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a super popular beer. And
I love the color.
Right?
Pink.
Yep.
So cute.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's really good.
Just that, you literally just feel like you just reached into grandma's blackberry bush and just threw a bunch of blackberries in your mouth.
Honestly, that's so springtime.
Right?
For
it's
real.
so springtime.
Very light. Yeah.
It is just such a fun beer, and I mean, we don't judge people when it comes to beer. It's one of the things we train all of our staff on. All of my coworkers will all do the same thing. Whether you're, newly 21 or you're 60 years old or you're male, female, whatever. We don't judge. So, for example, if you come up to one of our bartenders and say, hey, I don't know what kind of beer I want to drink. They're not going to immediately go to the fruity beer for you. We're going to go through the gamut, and we provide complimentary tastes of everything. We love teaching people about beer. So, just the same, we're not going to go straight to IPA for you, or straight to a boxcar cream ale for someone my dad's age. Because that's just kind of being judgmental, and we think beer's for everyone, and we just like teaching people about beer. It's fun.
Right. Yeah.
It's a
And
good
I think
philosophy.
that these flights are such a great way to try a little bit of everything instead of having to get a big glass of something that you're not sure if you'll like.
Totally.
So,
yeah. And
great.
what's really cool is that's a great segue to talking about the little nickel that's on all of our flight boards. So what this is this is worth $1, and so this comes with every flight board, and you can choose whether you want to keep a hold of this and save up to 5 of them and use it towards any of our merch or for our beer to go. So if you want to use save up 5 of these and take $5 off a 6-pack, or even you just want to take a 6-pack home today, take $1 off, or you can donate this to our nonprofit of the month. This month it's Mother Hubbard's Cupboard. So right here we just donated $3 to a local nonprofit, and so we do that every single month. The nonprofit changes, and anyone that wants to sign up for that program can just go to our website, and there's a sign up form to get in the queue for organizations that we support.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's
Great way to give
awesome.
back.
Wow,
for sure.
I love that. So should we try our last?
Let's
the
do it.
Oktoberfest?
So Oktoberfest, traditional Marzen style beer. Every beer that we've tasted so far has been an ale. So there's 2 different types of beer. There's ales and lagers. Ales are typically fermented for around 2 weeks. They like to be fermented warm, the yeast does, and it's what we would call like a top fermenting yeast. So it ferments out really fast. The lager yeast strains like lower temperatures. So just think about cell biology, low and slow digestion of the sugars. This beer takes up to 3 months to lager out, about a month to ferment. So it takes noticeably longer. We started brewing this beer back in July.
Wow.
So, that's how long it took to
long time
release it
coming.
by October.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everything here has been ales, and then this is a lager.
Okay.
So, bready and malty.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I always love a bready one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The bready
Bready,
beers.
malty. Some people pick up there's not really any hop characteristic to that. It's just mostly malt, right?
Right.
And yeah, that's our Oktoberfest. So anytime you come in, you can always do a flight of 5. It's $12, which of course you get $1 back either to donate or to take off of our merch or cans to go.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to do a full flight, maybe we just release something new. You can just ask one of the bartenders, say, hey, can I just do a taste? And we'll give you a complimentary taste, no big deal.
Yeah.
That's great.
This is such a great concept. I loved everything that we tried today. It was super good. Such
Absolutely.
unique flavors and definitely so much care put into creating each beer, which is just awesome. And this location is so great. So tell us, where can people find you? Social media, plug everything.
Yeah, definitely. So we are on all the platforms. So, find us on Instagram at Switchyard Beer. At Switchyard Brewing for Instagram, at Switchyard Beer for Twitter. We're on TikTok. That is a literal, yeah. You have to bleep
Trying
me
it
out.
out.
You have to- I'm gonna have fun with the editor. You're gonna have to bleep me out. It's a TikTok. So but I'm trying that out. Little past the prime for TikTok, but it's fun. We try to, we're trying to get Mitch to do some of the dances.
Oh.
But and specifically, I want him to do one of the dances with hops flying in the air, but he's kind of against it.
So fun.
Sucks.
Yes.
But
I like the idea.
Yeah, find us online, switchyardbrewing.com. Place an order for delivery or carry out. The tap room's open every single day, 3 o'clock, except for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We open at noon. We're all ages, so bring your younger brothers and sisters or come in for a slice. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
so
here
much.
with us.
You
and
got
thank you
it.
for letting us taste
Thanks
this
for
awesome
coming
beer.
in.
And now it's time for this week's B-Town Buzz, where we give you all the best events going on in Bloomington this week.
To start off, the first day of the 3-day-long Ghostly Gathering at Monroe Lake lands on Friday. Attendees can participate in Polk County Cemetery tours and end the night with a Gourd Guts campfire.
Also beginning on Friday, the band Southern Accents will be at the Bluebird performing a Tom Petty tribute. If you missed them on Friday, be sure to catch them on Saturday night.
And on Saturday, the Bloomington Pumpkin Launch flies into the Monroe County Fairgrounds. Teams will band together to build pumpkin cannons, catapults, and trebuchets to see whose creation is the best at sending those pumpkins flying.
Also on Saturday is the 23rd annual Bloomington Breast Cancer Awareness Walk. The program itself will take place online, but participants are welcome to walk outside wearing pink after the program.
And that's your B-Town Buzz for this week.
And thank you for joining us, Hoosiers, on this very special episode of the Bloomington Breakfast Club.
If you're interested in joining our TBBC team, be sure to contact Amy at amygala@iu.edu.
See you next week, Hoosiers.